Welcome back to Real-ationship Goals, a podcast all about exploring the realities and complexities of healthy relationships. Real-ationship Goals is a project of the Prevention and Education team at the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence or harassment and is seeking support services or needs more information, links to resources and our hotline number can be found in the description. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of their organizations or affiliates. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Real-ationship Goals. We're so excited to be back with you. This is actually going to be our second to last episode of this season. So we're ready to knock it out of the park with another one with, I'm Kyla. I use she, her pronouns.
My name is Monica. I use they, she pronouns.
My name's Elsie. I use she, her pronouns.
Awesome. Today we are going to be doing a media analysis over the Barbie movie, the Barbie 2023 movie. I feel like I should specify since there are a number that came beforehand. So we're just going to be talking about all things Barbie today. And I think Monica's going to start us off.
Yeah, so my question that I have for us is, what was your relationship with Barbies growing up? I'll let y'all open it up because I already got my answer, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I can go first.
Something that you called your mom and asked true.
Yes, so I did not have a relationship with Barbie growing up, but I did call my mom to ask why that was about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, nice.
And she had said that she didn't like Barbies and therefore I couldn't have them. But I asked why, and she grew up in Southern California. And so the blonde hair, like tan skin, that one was questionable, Laura, but that's okay. We'll move on. Blonde hair, tan skin, really small waist, large chest, stuff like that. It was stuff that she had struggled a lot with growing up. And especially like living like on the beach. California also has beach schools, type of thing. And so it was a lot of like, I don't know, like looks based, I guess. And so then she didn't want me to grow up with that. So I didn't have them. But my best friend across the street, her mom like collected all the special editions ones.
I had a cousin who did that.
Yeah. And so like, again, that one, we weren't allowed to play with them because they were all in their boxes still because they were like the special edition. So it was always you can look, but don't touch.
Yeah.
And Polly Pockets.
Play with the boxes.
Yeah.
I do like Polly Pockets, and I like chewing on their
Yes. It's a good texture.
It's true. And then the special plastic flavor.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like plastic water bottles so much. But I digress. I would say I did grow up with Barbies. I had a number of them, mostly because I have a very distinct memory, and I might have had them before that, but like my most like formative Barbie memory was somebody from my church growing up had like a garage sale fundraiser like for the church, and for some reason my mom was, I think, like helping out with it for some reason, and I just remember they had a Barbie dream house like from the 90s that I think we got for $9 or something. Like, it was like super cheap. It probably came with like a bunch of Barbies too, so like I had a bunch that way. I don't know, for me Barbie was never really, especially like the dolls themselves, I never really thought about it super hard just because I was too focused on like all of the different like stories that I was coming up with for them. So they were more like vessels for my storytelling than anything. But I do remember how like special it was to me whenever I got a Barbie that looked like me. So she had brown hair, and that was super, super exciting. And I thought she was the prettiest Barbie. She had brown hair.
The Barbie dream house. Have you ever seen Wizards of Waverly Place?
Bits and pieces.
Well, there's one episode that there's like it's Alex's whole dream house, and then she like does some magic to it, and then it comes to life, and so then they all live in there for a little bit.
I watched Wizards of Waverly, but I don't remember it. My memory sucks.
I recently restarted it, so.
So I was gonna say I remember having Barbies growing up, but they quickly went into a box. Because I ended up going to Bratz, but I was telling Elsie there was like a really like tan brat, which was Yasmin, and I was like, I used to be like, oh, that's me because she had a mole on her cheek, and I have a mole on my nose, which was like a big thing for me growing up. I didn't like it. I was like, oh, she has a mole, and she was tan, and also I loved their clothes. I loved like I mean, they had like big feet, you know. They did have big feet, like so they had,
big feet.
so they had, you know, the big chunky shoes and all these things, and they would have different movies. Same as Barbie, they had like the rock star or rock angels and all these different things, diamonds. You're okay. You're good. You're good. And all these things. So they had different. There was like also like a pirates one. Anyways, but that was like my relationship with them. I think they also had big heads, and I also have a big head.
They did have big heads.
I do also have a big head. And so, anyways, so I just remember having Barbies with me, not Barbies, excuse me, my brats, and being really obsessed with them. And then we had like a garage. I remember one day I'm looking through the boxes and I see all these Barbies. I was like, what the heck? And my mom was like, you just didn't play with them that much. And I think it was going back to like, one, I just always have loved clothes.
Yeah.
And I felt like their clothes were a little bit more fun, a little bit different, like the rock stars and all these different things. But also it was different people that like maybe looked like me. Also, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I'm trying to remember if the Barbie movies had music.
Oh yeah, they had
right?
so much music.
But I'm like, I can't even remember because I just remember the Bratz music. So anyways, but it was like I connected more with the Bratz.
To be fair, we were talking about your favorite Barbie movie, which was the Rapunzel one. That one didn't really have much music.
Yeah, that's why I was
that's like the only one I think that really, which I mean, like Swan Lake is based on Swan Lake,
Yeah,
the ballet,
yeah.
so like it has Tchaikovsky.
And then the Nutcracker and things like that. Because I remember having it.
Yeah. So like really,
and then Princess and the Pauper had music.
Yeah, that one had a lot. So I think some of them did, but not all of them did.
Because I think, I mean, I had that thing on replay. I'm pretty sure I brought that thing out for Rapunzel, and I don't remember having it like that much. But also, like, she had long hair, and I hated cutting my hair when I was younger, and so I would always be like, "I'm Rapunzel." So, anyways, that was my relationship growing up with them, which leads into your question.
Yes. How did this movie's Barbie differ from like the Barbies that you grew up with or your other movies of Barbie, like the Princess and the Pauper, Rapunzel, Swan Lake, stuff like that?
I mean,
because they're different in everyone too.
Yeah. But I feel like this is really the first Barbie movie where the original Barbie was not like the only Barbie, you know? Because like that was making like it was the same Barbie for Rapunzel, for Swan Lake, for the Nutcracker.
Yeah.
Like it was the same Barbie. Whereas that was something I really, really enjoyed about this Barbie movie was that they are all Barbie. And like that was never like there was never like, oh well, I'm more Barbie than you. It's where like that's also Barbie. She's also Barbie. That's Barbie. All Barbie was Barbie. So, and I feel like that it did a really neat thing of showing kind of how Barbie has changed and been so many things throughout the year, what they've tried to do, but at the same time had a little bit more depth and intention than Barbie Rapunzel, Barbie Swan Lake, things like that, which were very much so more just like kids' movies through and through, like for funsies, whereas this one was trying to convey more of a message.
Yeah, and I feel like when you were talking about Barbies just being a vessel for your stories, I feel like I mean, again, I didn't really play a lot with Barbies like that, but even with Bratz, it was just like also vessels for my stories or my little fashion shows or whatever. But I feel like in this movie, the 2023 movie, I mean, there's like the president, the scientist, whatever, all these Supreme Court and all these different things. I feel like as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. But I didn't think about that growing up. Because like there was also Midge, who is not Barbie.
Yeah.
Apparently, she's Barbie Mattel or whatever, but she was Midge, and she was the pregnant one.
We don't talk about Midge.
Yeah, and so I'm like, they were all the same, but I didn't realize that they had. Again, I was like, not a was it philosopher of a kid, and like I'm just like, oh, they have different outfits. You know, they're a vet this time and all these things, but I didn't know that that's what they were trying to convey. So that's what it makes me think. I think I get it now as I'm older, both the pros and the cons.
At the time, it was just like, oh, this Barbie looks like this, and this Barbie looks like this, but they're still Barbie. And anyways, time to pretend like these two are getting married. Like, you know.
I was also gonna say, they could just make my Barbies kiss. That's so funny.
Everybody.
That is so funny. I was like, that was my relationship with my dolls. Well, okay, anyway, sorry.
If you don't have G.I. Joe, you know, if you only have Barbie.
Or Ken, or Alan.
I know, I was like, I might have had Ken. I don't know.
I don't think I ever did.
Or Ken. Which I feel like is also a good part, but we can circle back to Ken.
I'm sure. I was gonna add on to your guys' things, like when she was meeting Sasha, and like all the other girls were like, "Come on, Sasha, like give it to her, let her know." And then like Sasha did her whole little speech or whatever, and then Barbie was like, "Well,
aren't you supposed to thank me?
That's not me." And they're like, "You just said you were Barbie," and she was like, "Well, yes, I'm Barbie, but like Barbie is also Barbie," and like she was trying to explain it to people that like. Also, I think we're stuck in kind of like this like Barbie is only a superficial type of thing, and so I thought that was cool that they added it in. But
because like Barbie's come to mean a lot of things for like a lot of different people, and I think we are able to offer a lot of like valid critiques of how Barbie has been like weaponized against women in a lot of ways, but at the same time, like I guess I don't know about how. She's also can be like an empowering thing, like for girls too, and to like have a toy that's like for them, to have eventually, I would say it didn't happen for quite a while, but to eventually end up with like more diverse like representation within like what I believe to be the most popular doll of all time.
Probably even more accessible because I mean, there's American dolls or whatever, but those things are pricey. But I was also going to say, growing up, I mean, you know, music was explicit. Maybe I shouldn't have been listening to it. But, like, early on with Nicki Minaj, who, we don't have to get deep into her, but, like, her thing was, like, being Barbie. And this is, like, so...
I never knew why they were called Barbs.
Yeah.
So this is me learning. This is me learning. I was also like...
The Barbs, because they're Barbies, and like that was her big thing. Like she would have like big necklace that said Barbie,
and the way like her logo for her name.
Yes, and like the pink and everything. And this is so wild, but especially her being in rap, it was like her really leaning into the femininity, which I felt like we know rap sometimes. Femininity is not seen as a good thing, but people are like, oh, you know, she's the queen of rap, whatever, all these things. But her big thing is like being a Barbie, being pink and all these things and being girly. And I feel like that helped me step into it because I remember I used to be like, I hate pink. And now we can look at my desk and there's nothing but pink. But I also think about that part, which isn't necessarily like Barbie the dolls, but how Nicki Minaj was influenced by Barbies and how that influenced other people. Because this is so funny, speaking of like diversity, but some people would be like, you know, she's the first Black Barbie and things like that. So she was the Black Barbie, and she was offering diversity, not even just in race, but also body type too, and things of that sort. Not even just that, but like being in rap and all of these different things. So it like almost offered a different perspective of what being a woman and being feminine was like. So I was like, Barbie. I wanted one of those things so bad. Barbie, like everyone wanted that chain because of Nicki Minaj, and I just remember that. her pink hair and all these things. It was what a great era. Before we got to what it is now.
But we digress.
But we digress.
I don't know, I guess I just also, I don't know, I feel like things that are intended for women on a large scale, but like even girls more specifically, sometimes have such a way from like larger society as a whole of being minimized and like picked apart in a way that's different that others don't experience. Like I'm trying to think of like boy, quote unquote, boy toys that
Are they
experience
picking
kind of that.
apart G.I. Joes,
Yeah.
John Cena,
Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels,
And I don't know, just things
Hot
like
Wheels.
that. I just like I said, Barbie is not beyond criticism, and I think it's important that we engage critically with the things that we consume, and the things that we purchase, and companies at large. But yeah, it is something I think that society on whole is harsher and more critical of things that are targeted towards girl demographics too.
This is another, it's kind of like another branch of just talking about Barbie, but I remember seeing an article like some years ago talking about how like childhood may not exist, whatever, because when I also think about Barbies, like it can be picked apart. And you, like you said, it's not above criticism, but it also makes me think of like innocence. Because just like how we were talking, we weren't thinking about that stuff. They were just vessels for our stories. And I think about that type of stuff, and I'm like, man, for whatever maybe, like we were looking at Barbies for the different careers, different hairstyles, different clothes, all these things. That's what we were looking at. But I feel like maybe now it's like seen as too childish. And so they look at celebrities for that type of stuff. And so it's like that that childhood is cut really short. It makes me sad because I'm like, dang, like it's okay. You're in fourth grade, like you're in elementary, you can't play with Barbies type of thing. Like you have to be on Roblox shaking something you're not supposed to be shaking. You know what I'm saying?
Or it makes me think of big thing a little while ago was like trends on TikTok. And it's like 9-year-olds like asking for like drunk elephant, which is like a beauty product, so like Sephora or Ulta gift cards or things like that for like Christmas, or like I just hear like more and more of like especially like young teen girls asking for like different serums and things that are like anti-aging and things like that. And I'm like, baby, you're 10 plus years away from your first wrinkle. Like absolutely, I said,
all the dark circles. I'm like, concealer for what?
All you need right now is a good moisturizer, some SPF, and you're gonna be golden. You know, a gentle cleanser for that skin. But anything else is actually going to ruin your skin. None of that matters right now. But
the kids that I used to babysit, like I want to say she's 12 now probably, and she has a like 10 times more in-depth skincare routine than I do. Granted, all I do is wash my face and put some lotion on it, but
it's working for you.
But she has like maybe 15 steps that she goes through every morning and night.
And kind of going back to the same thing of like childhood. I mean, when we were talking about recording this, we were talking about like Polly Pockets, Webkins. What else were we talking about?
Club Penguin.
I love Club Penguin. Littlest Pet Shop, all these things, and
Pop Tropica.
Oh my gosh, I think it's an app now on your phone. But I was gonna say, I remember being like I think I told y'all this story, but I think I was in fourth grade. Maybe that's why I mentioned it earlier. Ooh, the body keeps the score. But in fourth grade, I want to say, and I was still playing with Webkins, and I remember bringing it up, and people were like, aren't you a little grown?
In fourth grade?
In fourth grade, yes, in fourth grade. And so then I like played with it, like at home, didn't tell nobody, type of thing. And so I think about that too. But I was like, literally everything, girl go games. Yes, girl go games
still up to this day. Cool math games also still available.
Yeah, like all those things. Like it was like it's still digital, but it was still like childhood. And I just remember them saying that kids don't have spaces for that anymore. Because like Roblox was supposed to be a child.
But now children are shamed, and like students, yeah, and children. I'm actually gonna say children are being shamed, like by their peers also, for engaging in normal behaviors.
Yeah.
Which is just, yeah, it's really hard. Like we are creating a society in which like there are more protection for children in a lot of different ways, but we are also creating like a social society that is normalizing like a shortened childhood, I feel.
Yeah.
In unexpected ways.
And it's really interesting because like me being 25, I still know that I'm young. I'll be like, I had a friend ask me because I collect little Wiz Pet Shop things, little collectibles like that. And I had my friend who is like at least a decade older than me. And she was like, so where does this come from? Like, this has to be something. I was like, girl, what's wrong with being childhood whimsy, like looking for it and searching for it because it got taken away from me?
What's wrong with me having things that make me happy?
Yeah.
And why can't I have silly stuff?
Silly stuff. Because I got this like squishy doggy that has like a butterfly, like a butterfly hoodie. And she was like, oh. And I was like, I don't care. Bye. Yeah. It's mine.
I used to sleep with a pillow pet.
See, there we go. Yeah, pillow pet. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I keep saying that that's what my 20s are about, is finding that childhood whimsy again. But yeah.
I did have a thought, kind of circling back to the movie, kind of before we move on to like relationship goals and like recommendations and stuff. What do you guys remember, and like what stood out to you about like the reception of the movie? Like, how was the Barbie movie received? Like, what were like, was it well received? Was it negatively received? What were kind of some of the things that y'all remember?
I feel like people were very quick, like you were saying earlier, to criticize it without seeing it because it's such a feminine thing. And I feel like that's just an easy target for people. But I see that part. I also, maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but there was also women, I don't want to call them pygmies, but they were like, that was not my experience or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, sure, it also was not my experience. Like I told you, I like Bratz.
Awesome, but you were still excited to go see. You were still kind of the experience
because I knew. Well, the word on the street was people were going to cry. I wanted to cry. And so, but the people who really found joy in it, whether it was like the whimsy, the childhood whimsy they were looking for, just looking for a movie, whatever, like the excitement that I saw, like people were having Barbie themed parties after that. You know, like
I went to a Barbie themed bachelorette party.
There was like this party in Waco. I forgot where it's called. It's like an A-frame house, and it's all pink, and they did like an all pink Barbie party. They had like the Barbie box that you could take pictures in.
Oh yeah.
And it was like they were allowed to feel like kids again. And I think about in the movie, the mom, like, sorry, it's a spoiler, but the whole time the Barbie is her Barbie.
Yeah.
And she's dealing with her relationship with Barbie and all these things. And so I think about that too. Like people were looking for that whimsy and that just nostalgia. So I mean there was like a lot of excitement. People were like dressing up. Oh, yeah. Like the little cute poofy dresses, so cute. But again, the other side of it, people were like, that's too much and blah blah blah. And that's what I remember.
I think one of my favorite, like just small favorite things that had little to do, I mean, it had everything to do with the movie, but like the movie itself didn't push for this, but just people did it themselves. The community that was created around the movie specifically for like women and connecting with each other. Like one of my favorite things was how for such a long time, and it still pops up every now and then, of people, like especially going to see the movie, total strangers. Hi Barbie.
Oh yeah.
Just everybody saying hi Barbie, and like we are all Barbie. So just kind of like this, it was something that we all got to experience together, and this was something we were all sharing. And I think that it was just like a very, very special thing that I found absolute joy in. I thought that was so delightful. But yeah, so that was definitely a very positive thing. I think that just having something that was for us girls, meant a lot to a lot of people, and that something for women was such a big deal as well, like all over the
Because
place.
also the director, it was like, yeah. I don't know if it was like the highest grossing movie. Is that the term, grossing movie?
Yes.
For a female director and all these things. People were mad about that.
Yeah.
It was winning awards because also there was Oppenheimer
at the Barbenheimer.
Yeah, it was also Barbenheimer, and so they were talking about that, like also making that contrast of things. Wasn't it like a war movie or something?
It was about the atomic bombs.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say my social media must have just been like an echo chamber because everybody on mine absolutely loved it. But it was also like my last semester in grad school. And so all of my friends saw it a minimum of 4 times in theaters.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's me with sinners.
So they were like, everybody was very into it. And like all of our professors watched it and all the things. And, but like a big thing, because for that semester, we each had like one internship thing. And so at that point, like it was all kind of like coming to a head. And so the big thing that we all took from it was there's some part of it where like somebody's getting an award, and the Barbie that takes the award, that's like receiving it, goes, I worked hard for this, I deserve it. Instead of like, thank you so much for giving this to me, like all this stuff. Like she's like, nope, this is mine, I deserve it. And so every like at least once a class now, it would be like, I worked hard for this, I deserve that.
Right.
So it was good for us to get through our last semester too.
That was really nice.
Or like even like graduation, like we all did a TikTok at the end where we like got our diplomas.
Oh,
and
that's
like, we worked hard for this.
That's so. Oh, that is very wholesome. I feel like that's a good opportunity to transition into our relationship goal.
Yeah. So the relationship goal that I have for everyone is, and I was like trying to play with the wording of it, but really kind of doing like the word you use is like internal survey, just really a reflection of what societal expectations are maybe like being hung over your head. What's weighing on you? What are you aligning with? Do you feel like you want to be aligned with it? Really just thinking about that, because I mean, when we talk about Barbie, a lot of it comes back to expectations about appearance, but it can be more than that. And so that was really my recommendation, is to do that reflection amongst yourself. What do you think? Are there like misalignments? Like, are you maybe meeting this expectation, but does that align with you type of situation? I hope I worded that right. But yeah, that's my relationship goal.
And our recommendation is sponsored by Elsie.
I think that everybody should watch the old Barbie movies and the new Barbie movie if you haven't seen it. But specifically Princess and the Pauper, Mermaidia, you liked Rapunzel.
Oh yeah.
And you like Swan Lake.
Oh yeah.
So specifically those four and the Nutcracker.
That was so good.
Christmas in July.
But Mermaidia if you want to see Bibble.
Sure.
But they're just really wonderful movies.
So many memes come from Barbie movies. Like Bibble is on there a lot. Is that also the elephant? There's an elephant. And they always put Miley Cyrus. I'm obviously chronically on mine. I'm going to show it to you.
Okay, we're going to be doing research on this.
It's like an elephant from one of the Barbie movies, but they put Miley Cyrus's super blue eyes on it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Here's it.
Okay, we're going to have to research afterwards.
We're going to circle back to this later. I would say research this on your own time.
All the memes from Barbie.
Yeah, that's a secondary recommendation. Do meme history research. But in the meantime, thank y'all so much for joining us again this week. We'll be back for the last episode of the season next week. But thank you guys so much for joining us this season, this episode. If you're wanting more prevention content, you can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention. And if you just want to keep up with the Advocacy Center, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Real-ationship Goals. This episode was produced by the Prevention and Education Department of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. Interested in more content from PNE or the Advocacy Center? You can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention or on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco. Be sure to like this episode and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Bye.